And a very good morning to Maurice Deegan. How are you keeping?
Morning, Adrian. Not too bad in yourself.
We were hoping to have you in studio this morning, but I think the weather has scuppered us.
Yeah, I was halfway up the N7 this morning, and it was like a car park, so I decided to turn around and come back. It was a safer option, so it was.
Yeah, it's brutal out there. A reminder to everybody to keep nice and safe. How's the body?
Body is sore now, Adrian. I'm not going to tell you a lie. I got a fair whack now on Sunday. My arm is sore, my wrist is sore, and the knee is not great, and the hip. I never felt that like it was like being in a car crash. So it was, to be honest.
Yeah, it looked like it took the wind out of you in that moment. You were down. I was watching. I thought, Jesus, are you going to get up here? You were. It was a proper wallop.
It was, to be honest with you, Adrian. The stubbornness in me. I said to myself when I got up, and I looked up at the clock, and it was about 12 minutes to go, and I said, look, I've only another 12 more minutes of my intercounty career to referee here. So I said I last it out to stay going.
What's the contingency there? One of your assistants comes in and
Yeah. Fergal Kelly was the standby ref. He would have come in for me, like, you know what I mean. So there was a contingency plan in place anyway, you know.
Yeah. It's not. It's one of the hazards of the job. I suspect, Maurice, that when you're weighing these things up, that's not your priority. I would have thought in any given week that.
No, I know. I hadn't planned now, to be honest with you, now to be getting hit by two 16-stone fellas, half my age, and nearly drove me about 10 yards into the air. So
it doesn't. I'm surprised in some regards because, like, by nature of the gig, you're there and thereabouts with the action all the time. That it almost doesn't happen more often.
Yeah, well, you see, to be honest with you, the lads would always be slagging me that I don't keep up a play. My problem was on Sunday, I was too close to the play. So, what do you call it? Look, the way the game has gone, it's, as everybody knows, the speed of it has taken off. And to be a referee nowadays, I suppose you have to be able to be as fit as the players, like, you know.
Does it seem strange or feel strange, Maurice, to be referred to now as former intercounty referee?
It does, Shane, to be honest with you. Yeah, I was down in Kerry yesterday, you know, just doing a bit of a run. I met the Gooch down there, you know, and we were just chatting about it. And like, you're walking through the streets, and of course everyone is football mad down there, and everyone is stopping you and saying, what are you going to do now, and what's the plan and for the future. But to be honest with you, I'm nearly happy that I'm finished up. I've had a great 22, 23 years at refereeing intercounty, to be honest with you. So, and like, the body can only take so much. And as from what happened on Sunday, I can tell you one thing: Monday morning wasn't great waking up.
Did you ever think when you first picked up a whistle that you'd have that career, that you ended up having 3 All-Ireland finals, 08, 2012 and the replay in 2016? It's not bad.
No, well, to be honest with you, Shane, I only went into it like, I think I've said it loads of times. Like, I'd say about 24 years ago, I was in my home club in Stradbally, and there was a practice match going on, and I was up there with my fiance at the time, my now wife Aisling, and the secretary came over to me and said, look, Maurice, would you have to referee the match? I had a jeans on me and a denim jacket, and sure, I said, look, I'll do it for you, and I done it. And away it went. I didn't foresee that I would end up doing 3 All-Irelands, as you said, Shane, to be honest with you. And I've been one of the lucky ones in a sense that I've had a great career with refereeing, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, between what friends I've met and what people I've met and places I've travelled all over the world through it. Like,
you've just turned 50, I think. So is that you have to bow out at this stage, Maurice? Is that the regulation?
Adrian, I haven't turned 50 yet. No,
I don't want to
don't be too hard on me. I have another 2 weeks to go.
I thought you were going to say 2 years there for a second. I was how actually offended are you? So because of that, you have to bow out. Is that the regulation at the minute?
That's the regulation. You have to bow out at 50. You basically have to hang the boots up, and basically if your intercounty refereeing career is finished. And like, look, in some cases, I'm probably fit enough to go for another 2 or 3 years if needs be. But I suppose you have to have some sort of a benchmark as to when a referee has to finish. So
it does feel like kind of if you were up like 50 now is not. And I'm not a huge amount behind you. 50 now is not what it used to be in terms of fitness and general approach and stuff. Like, it does feel as if, particularly in a sport where like we're crying out for quality referees and for referees to stay in the game and that.
Well, I think myself maybe, like, look, for myself personally, I'm happy to go bow out at 50, but I'd say, as you said, like. Maybe it probably needs to be looked at, especially with, I suppose, with whether we don't probably have the same number of referees there as before as we used to have, like, so like it's getting harder and harder to recruit more referees. But I think the biggest problem is you might recruit the referees, but the biggest problem in my eyes is probably retention of referees, trying to keep them refereeing. That's my opinion anyway. Like.
What's the biggest barrier to that?
Sure, obviously you know yourself. The white elephant in the room is obviously the abuse of referees. Like, that's probably the big one, and that's what everyone is talking about at the minute.
We've had myself and Shane have been chatting to David Goff, Martin McNally in recent months. It was particularly on the back of the Roscommon incident not that long ago.
Yes.
About their own experience of it. In all your years as a ref, what's your level of exposure to that, be it verbal or physical or otherwise?
Well, to be honest, I've been one of the lucky ones. I've never been physically abused as a referee, but as regards verbally abused, yes, have. Club is probably the worst when it comes to verbal abuse because it's at a more local level. But I think at intercounty level, the big one is obviously social media. Like, so, like it can drive referees out of the game because a lot of people are into Facebook and Instagram and all these different things. Now, I'm not on any of these forums, and I think it's a good thing. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't see what's going on. The only knock-on effect for me probably is my family sees it. I have 2 kids. And they probably see it quicker than anyone else will, like, So, like, there is a human side to it for the referee if the social media bandwagon gets rolling, like, against the referee. And I've said it in the past, a referee will make 150 decisions in a game. There'll be 2 or 3 big decisions in that game. And if he gets 2 or 3 of them right, he's a great fella. If he gets one of them wrong, well, then he's vilified for it.
Whatever about the social media aspect and the on-pitch abuse, Maurice, like you talked there about being down in Kerry and people come up to you on the street asking what you're up to next. Like, over the last 22, 23 years, have you had incidents where on the street people are coming up and saying, Jesus, you screwed us there at the weekend? Or
No, to be fair, Shane, no, I've never ever had that. Like, do you know what I mean? In all my times, any time that I've been out and look at if you're going on holidays or you're walking down the street or whatever it is, the general perception out there with people is like, keep it going, you're doing a good job, and like, people generally want to just talk to you about the match and how you got on, and generally them type of people aren't the ones that will confront you. Do you know what I mean, Shane? I generally found it now myself that I was a very positive approach. That was from my side of things. Like, we could be walking down, myself and my wife could be walking down the street, and she got so used to it now that someone could stop me, and like, I don't want to be ignorant or anything like that and say, look, I don't want to talk to. I'd always talk to people and make sure I make time for them, and Aisling could be gone 20 yards down the road and I'd have to run after her to try catch up because she's gone so used to it at this stage, I
almost feel like GAA could learn a lot from rugby in terms of the decorum and the respect given to referees. Like, do you feel like, and it's something we spoke to the lads, David Goff and Martin McNally, about, but should referees be mic'd up in whether it's intercounty and club football? Like, would that improve the level of abuse?
Well, I've been a big advocate for this about being mic'd up. I think, to be honest with you, if we're mic'd up and everyone can hear will say what the referee is given a decision for, well then everyone knows what the decision is for, and there's no ambiguity. And I think to be able to, we'll say, push the future of refereeing on that a little bit further, I think that's a big ask, and I think that's the way to go, definitely going forward.
One of the reasons,
but the problem is, though, we have at the end of it all, we have to realise that it's not only intercounty, because you'll probably only do that intercounty. There is the club scene there as well, which is massive as well.
I think one of the reasons that was brought up at the time around the intercounty bit anyway, Maurice, about the miking up, was that obviously, unlike the professional game, the players are going back to day jobs afterwards, and they might have been caught saying something on mic that maybe they shouldn't have been. Is that enough of a barrier to not do it, do you think? Or
well, look, I suppose if you do it a few times, whatever, the player will get used to it. The player will learn just as quickly as the referee, as a referee has to learn by it. So I think education is a big thing. Players, no more than anyone, will know the rules as well as the referees, especially at intercounty level, because of the amount of education that they are treated to, especially by, it's the way players are now at intercounty level, they will know most of the rules going forward, so I don't see that as being an issue.
Geez, it'd be great for clarity, because it would.
Brilliant,
wouldn't
it?
I
agree. Brilliant.
American football is an example where you're at it, and you're looking at the game and you're not sure what's that decision being given for. The referee will literally be on mic to the stadium to say, "Here's why that happened." I mean, and if you look at it in an Irish context, David again was chatting about the, excuse me, the last time we had him on, about the lack of understanding of the rules from pundits. So that evening, you've refereed an All-Ireland final, that evening it gets picked over in fine detail by the Sunday game or ourselves or whoever it might be. And not everybody's on top of the rules, but equally, we don't have the access to the likes of yourself to say, well, why did that call happen, or what was your understanding of what happened there? And that pundits tend to fill that void with opinion that might not at times be accurate.
I think, to be honest with you, Adrian, I think that's probably a little bit of a shortfall on the likes of RTE or any pundits like that, is that they probably don't have a referee sitting there so that they can ask them questions there and then. And when I say a referee, I mean someone that has refereed the game or something and not put my name forward now.
Well, listen, somebody recently retired intercounty referee.
Not put my name forward there now or anything. But I just think, as you said, it would give way more clarity, do you know what I mean, to decisions that referees have given during a game. And as I go back to it again, the referee is only human at the end of the day, and really and truly, it'll be 2 or 3 decisions that the referee will be judged on. Do you know what I mean? And there's no point saying any different, because that exactly is what he's going to be judged on. It's the same as a player. If a player gets the ball and he has 3 chances at goal and he scores 1, they're all going to talk about, well, what about the 2 he missed? Do you know? That's just the nature that it's just the society that we're in, do you know?
You mentioned, Maurice, there, the players, mostly knowing the rules at the minute, I guess. And look, to an extent, the rules have changed that much the last couple of years. It's tough to keep up sometimes, but is in some ways this a good time for you to step away? Because I look at things like the advanced mark, for example, and you almost wonder, how do referees, how can you possibly judge it sometimes?
Well, the advanced mark is very hard. There's 3 or 4 different scenarios that the referee has to think of. So obviously, is the player outside the 45 and he kicks the ball in? 2, is he 20 metres away? 3, did he have a clean catch? 4, did he put the arm up? Do you know? And then when he gets it, then he's 15 seconds to kick it. So on the advanced mark, that's probably the hardest one, we'll say, to, how would you put it? It's probably the hardest, we'll say, a rule to referee and to get it right all the time. The mark in the middle of the field is easy enough, do you know? But they're improving, they're bringing in new rules. They're probably trying to improve the game. Do you know what I mean? To be fair, do you know? So, as you said, I'm still going to be refereeing at club level in Laois, do you know what I mean? But at intercounty, I'm finished, do you know? So, I still enjoy refereeing it probably the biggest thing I will miss will probably be the buzz of going to the matches, and obviously the buzz in the car when the five are driving up to a match, and the bit of crack that we'd have coming home and stuff like that.
Would you've always brought the same team with you, Maurice?
I'd have a pick of about 6 or 7 lads that would always come with me all the time. Like, do you know what I mean? They would come with me all the time, and I'd say down through the years I've probably had about 23 or 4 lads. Do you know what I mean? Whereas some lads have just finished up and stuff like that. So, like, I've met great friends from it for life, and like I'll never forget that. Like,
would you pick them for the All-Ireland final as well, or does that come from Croke Park?
Yeah, no, I picked them. I remember one year I was doing the 2008 All-Ireland final, and I had 5 lads that I generally would have picked all the time, that would have come with me all the time, and I had to ring one of them 5 to tell him that he wasn't going to be involved in the All-Ireland. Now, that was hard now.
Very hard.
You know, that's like being a manager of a team and saying that whatever isn't playing, you're not picked for the final.
It's funny, those 3 All-Irelands that you did referee, Maurice, all stand out as quality finals, like Tyrone beating Kerry in 08, you'd Donegal beating Mayo in 2012, and then the 2016 replay. Like, do any moments in particular stand out as career highlights for you?
Oh, I tell you, after the Mayo Donegal All-Ireland final, Donegal had won the All-Ireland final, I think the first time in, I don't know, 40, 50 years, whatever it was. 92, wasn't it? Yeah. And they brought out a seat for us, and we sat down in the middle of the pitch after the match, and the crowd just started singing The Hills of Donegal. It was just electric, you know, and there had been no hassle in the game. Every player and all the manager were coming up and shaking your hand after the game, and you knew you had done a good job. So you could actually sit down and relax, because the stress and the tension and pressure leading into the game, because it was a big game in 2012, because it was a novel final. And I even remember trying to get to the pitch, that the crowds outside Croke Park, even trying to get in, was ridiculous. Like, you know, it was just a brilliant feeling I'll never forget. And like, all my family were there at the match as well, and just little moments like that, you know, and especially the All-Ireland final on the Saturday with Dublin and Mayo under the lights. Like, the atmosphere on the Saturday night, especially on the Saturday night game under lights, was just electric, because them Dublin Mayo games back then were probably the highest caliber of games you could ever come across, I'd say, in the last 20 years.
So special. Any player that stands out, Maurice, has been particularly, how would
I put down, I said to myself, I'll draw out a list here now, because I knew myself as when we asked this question, what players do I think?
Go on.
Colin Cooper stands out
as one of the better ones.
Oh yeah, oh God, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
As in would never give you any back chat, or?
Well, no, I never said that. No, I didn't say that.
You're talking about footballing talent here, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm talking about footballing talent.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I was going to ask about the ones that were particularly tricky to referee. It sounds like he's in that category straight off the bat.
Well, I was talking to Colin yesterday. Now, it's just a funny story, because we were just chatting, and Colin comes up to me and he says, I never gave you much hassle. He says, did I, down through the years? Well, I said, I remember one time I said, in the All-Ireland club final, I says, when you were playing Schlockneil, and I remember you were running up to me after about 20 minutes or 25 minutes. You were coming up to give out to me over a free that I was after giving to Schlockneil, and I turned around to you and I says, Colin, where's your gum shield?
Thought badly.
So he had to turn around and run straight back to the sideline to get a gum shield off someone else.
Tail between his legs straight away.
Yeah. That was him started, so it was before I even done anything.
Cute Kerry lads.
I like it.
Gum shield in socks,
exactly.
probably.
Yeah, I wasn't even in the sock. But like some players, like the likes of Brian Doher, he was just an exceptional player, a great leader on the team. Like Sean Kavanagh come to mind like straight away. Like Lee Keegan, another one. He was a gent.
Really?
Off the field, a very, very nice fella. On the field, give it 110% now, to be fair to him. Do you know what I mean? Michael Murphy, very good player. Hard to handle at times, but very, very good player. Like,
Would
do
he
you know
be?
what
Yeah.
I mean?
What's the nub of that? Like, just sort of always looking for that.
Oh yeah. I think I told him a couple of times, if you wanted to whistle, I'd give it to him.
Another one that I'm sure sort of. What's the nature of that stuff? Are they like when players are onto you like that? Is that because like
like they're questioning your every decision, like, do you know what I mean? Which is fair enough, like, and mentally you have to be very strong for that, like, do you know? So, like, it's probably part and parcel of the game. It's the same in soccer, rugby, anything, any sport. Like, if the referee seems weak mentally, well, obviously, like, the players are going to really hone in on that, and they're going to, do you know, because if, for argument's sake, the referee gives a decision and there's 3 or 4 of them try to intimidate him to try turn it around, but the referee stand, well, maybe the next time he might not give the free as quickly. Do you know what I mean? It's only human nature. I keep going back to it. The referee is just as human as the players are. Managers are, supporters are.
I suspect if you're open to a call down the track when there's been an incident, we'll certainly have you on again. We really enjoyed your company over the last 25 minutes or thereabouts. Thanks a million and congrats on a brilliant career.
Adrian, Shane, thanks a million. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks a million. Maurice Deegan, now former GA intercounty referee. Really interesting pick through
Class.
the life and times, essentially.
Yeah.